Welcome to my channel, Valuable Coins All World. If you've ever wondered if those old coins you have lying around could be worth a fortune, you're in the right place. In today's video, we're diving into some of the rarest US coins, revealing their jaw-dropping values that will leave you amazed. Stick with us till the end. You won't want to miss what these hidden treasures could be worth. Let's get started. Top 1. In the world of coin collecting, some of the most remarkable treasures come not from gold or silver, but from the smallest and most common pieces of currency. And perhaps no coin better represents this phenomenon than the Lincoln 1-cent penny. It's a coin that has been part of everyday American life for well over a century, passed through hands, pockets, and cash registers billions of times. But every so often, a single penny rises above the rest. One such coin is the 1966 Lincoln 1-cent penny, with no mint mark, bearing a red-brown patina that tells a story far deeper than its 1-cent face value. Under the right conditions, this coin becomes a true gem of American history and value, so rare and unique that it is sold for a truly astonishing sum. Let's start with the design, a design that connects generations. On the obverse, or front side, we see the familiar right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln. Sculpted by Victor David Brenner, this image first appeared in 1909 and has remained one of the longest-running coin designs in United States history. In 1966, this same portrait continued to embody the values of strength, integrity, and leadership that Lincoln is remembered for. The words, "In God We Trust," stretch along the upper rim, "Liberty" is etched to the left, and the date 1966 sits on the right side. Interestingly, you'll notice that this coin carries no mint mark, an absence that's not a mistake, but rather an intentional decision by the U.S. Mint during a very unusual time in its history. You see, from 1965 through 1967, the United States Mint made a significant decision to suspend the use of mint marks on coins. This was part of an effort to discourage coin hoarding, which had become a major issue in the early 1960s due to rising metal prices and speculation. The Mint hoped that removing mint marks would help stabilize the coin supply by making coins from different mints indistinguishable from each other. As a result, all Lincoln pennies from 1966, whether struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, appear without any mint mark. And that's part of what makes this coin so unique. It marks a brief and peculiar moment in U.S. coin history. Now let's turn the coin over and explore the reverse. From 1959 until 2008, the Lincoln 1-cent coin featured the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side. Designed by Frank Gasparo, this structure is more than symbolic architecture. It also hides a tiny but powerful detail. With close inspection, you can actually spot a miniature statue of Lincoln seated within the memorial's pillars, mirroring the real statue inside the actual monument in Washington, D.C. Above the memorial are the words "United States of America," and beneath that, "E pluribus unum," meaning out of many, one. At the bottom of the coin is the denomination, 1 cent. In terms of specifications, the 1966 Lincoln penny is typical for the era. It weighs 3.11 grams, has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, and a thickness of 1.55 millimeters. Its shape is round, and its composition is copper-plated zinc, giving it the classic red-brown color that collectors admire. Over time, copper oxidizes, resulting in a tone that ranges from bright red to deep brown. A red-brown color designation, as this coin carries, means the penny has retained some of its original red luster while acquiring the natural richness of aged copper, a combination highly valued by numismatists. But here's where the magic of this coin begins to shine. While hundreds of millions of 1966 pennies were produced, only a minuscule number have survived in perfect or near-perfect condition. Even fewer possess the rare errors and unique characteristics that catapult their value into the thousands. What makes the 1966 Lincoln penny with no mint mark so extraordinary isn't just its age or appearance, it's the presence of minting errors, varieties, and exceptional preservation that create true numismatic gold. One of the most coveted errors is the double die. This occurs during the die creation process when the image is accidentally engraved onto the die twice, with slight misalignment. When these flawed die strike coins, the doubling can appear on the lettering, date, or even Lincoln's profile. On a 1966 penny, such a doubling would be extremely rare and incredibly valuable. If you ever see doubled lettering in God We Trust, or a shadow-like doubling in the date, don't dismiss it. That could be a life-changing detail. Another fascinating and highly collectible error is the off-center strike. These occur when the coin blank, or planchet, is not properly aligned during striking. Depending on the severity of the misalignment, portions of the design may be missing altogether. Coins that are significantly off-center but still show a full date are among the most valuable of all minting errors. Die cracks, cuds, and planchet flaws are also among the errors that attract collectors. A die crack is a raised line that appears on the coin's surface, formed when the die used to strike the coin develops a fracture. A cut is formed when a piece of the die breaks off entirely, leaving a blob-like raised area on the coin. And a planchet flaw might reveal a surface that looks cracked, peeling, or blistered. Each of these imperfections tells a story about the chaos and complexity of minting, and each adds a layer of value for collectors who seek the extraordinary. Perhaps even more important than error is condition. The numismatic world relies on a grading scale that ranges from 1 to 70, with higher numbers representing coins that are in better condition. Coins in the 1966 series that have been graded at mint state 66 or above are already difficult to find. To discover one with a known minting error in such pristine state is a jackpot scenario. And collectors are willing to pay big for coins with minimal handling marks, brilliant original color, and sharp details. What makes the red-brown coloring so important in this case is that it demonstrates the coin's natural age and preservation. Unlike artificially cleaned coins, a well-toned red-brown penny tells a story of decades gone by, without ever having been damaged, altered, or degraded by improper storage or cleaning techniques. Now here's the part of the story that captures every collector's dream. Among the few known surviving examples of the 1966 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark, one specimen stood out far beyond the rest. It featured flawless surfaces, a remarkable red-brown tone, and a spectacular die variety. This particular coin, after being professionally authenticated and graded at an elite mint state level, stunned the coin collecting world when it went to auction. There, before the eyes of eager bidders and seasoned collectors, it fetched a jaw-dropping price of $158,000. Yes, that's right. $158,000 for a single penny. It's a remarkable reminder that in the world of coins, rarity, condition, and history converge in the most unexpected ways. A coin that was once worth just 1 cent, tossed casually into someone's pocket over 50 years ago, had become a treasure worth more than the price of a luxury car or even a small house. So the next time you find yourself digging through change, rolling coins, or helping an elder clean out their old coin stash, take a closer look. Especially if you see a 1966 Lincoln penny without a mint mark. You might just be holding something extraordinary, something with a story to tell, and possibly a fortune waiting to be discovered. Top 2. There are few things in the world of coin collecting more thrilling than finding an old penny that turns out to be worth a small fortune. While most people may glance at a 1-cent coin and think nothing of it, collectors and numismatists know the truth. Some of these seemingly ordinary pieces of copper carry remarkable stories, hidden errors, and astonishing value. One such example is the Lincoln 1-cent penny from the year 1967. With no mint mark, a red-brown hue, and a long journey through American hands, this small coin, struck during a unique period in U.S. mint history, has captivated experts and collectors alike. And in rare cases, it has commanded breathtaking prices on the open market. At first glance, the 1967 Lincoln penny appears like any other. It weighs 3.11 grams, measures 19.05 millimeters in diameter, and has a thickness of 1.55 millimeters. Its composition is copper-plated zinc, and it has that signature red-brown color that many collectors cherish. But beneath this humble appearance lies an impressive blend of historical significance, minting anomalies, and collector-driven demand that make this penny stand out. The obverse, or front, of the coin features the enduring portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner and introduced in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Lincoln's birth. His profile faces right, with the words "In God We Trust" arching over his head, "Liberty" to the left, and the year 1967 to the right. Notably, this coin bears no mint mark, a detail that instantly piques the interest of serious collectors. Why does the absence of a mint mark matter? Because between 1965 and 1967, the United States Mint made a bold move. In response to widespread coin hoarding and a nationwide coin shortage, the Mint decided to omit mint marks from all coins during those 3 years. The idea was to discourage collectors from removing coins from circulation based on where they were struck. As a result, Every 1967 penny, whether produced in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, was struck without a mint mark. This period of anonymous minting gives coins from these years a special historical identity. Turn the coin over, and you're greeted by the iconic Lincoln Memorial design, crafted by Frank Gasparo. Replacing the wheat ears reverse in 1959, this elegant depiction of the national monument stood as the backdrop for the Lincoln cent until 2008. Within the memorial, careful eyes can spot the tiniest of artistic flourishes, a microscopic image of Lincoln seated inside, just like the real statue in Washington, D.C. The inscriptions United States of America and E Pluribus Unum appear above, while 1 cent is boldly displayed at the bottom. What makes the 1967 penny truly exciting for collectors isn't just its historical context, but the unique features and minting errors that have surfaced over time. While millions were struck, only a handful were preserved in pristine condition, and even fewer contain the types of anomalies that transform a coin into a legendary collectible. One such variety is the doubled die. This error occurs when the die used to strike the coin is engraved with a doubled image. As a result, the coin bears ghost-like doubling, often seen in the date, the motto, "In God We Trust," or the word liberty. In some cases, the doubling is so strong that it's visible without magnification. A 1967 penny with this type of error, especially in high mint state condition, can fetch extraordinary prices at auction. Another fascinating mint error is the off-center strike. When a planchet isn't perfectly centered in the press during striking, part of the design appears off to one side, sometimes significantly. The most collectible of these errors are off-center coins where the date is still fully visible. Not only do these coins break the mold, literally, but they offer a glimpse into the production challenges of mid-20th century minting. Then there are repunched dates, die cracks, and cuts, each of which adds another layer of rarity and value. Repunched dates occur when the original date was struck more than once, slightly misaligned, producing a doubled or shadow-like appearance. Die cracks are thin, raised lines that form on the coin when the die itself starts to break apart. Cuds are areas where part of the die has chipped off entirely, creating a blob-like raised feature on the coin. These are more than errors. They're windows into the physical wear and tear of minting tools used over millions of strikes. Beyond errors and anomalies, grade and condition are perhaps the most important factors in determining a coin's value. The 1967 Lincoln penny was heavily circulated, meaning that most of the coins from that year show signs of wear. But on rare occasions, a coin was set aside, stored away carefully, and survived the decades in remarkable condition. These coins, when graded professionally, can receive mint state (MS) ratings of 65, 66, or even higher. A coin with an MS 67 grade or above is exceedingly rare and represents the highest standard of preservation. The color grade, especially the red-brown designation, also plays a major role in desirability. Copper coins tend to darken over time, but those that retain some of their original reddish luster, without being artificially cleaned or damaged, are prized by collectors. A red-brown penny with strong luster and clean surfaces becomes a centerpiece of any collection. There are stories from across the country of collectors, both casual and experienced, stumbling upon coins like this in old jars, inherited boxes, or even circulation. What seems like an ordinary penny at first glance may, under magnification and expert review, turn out to be a coin of enormous value. And in one unforgettable case, that's exactly what happened. A 1967 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, preserved in stunning red-brown mint state condition, featuring a prominent die error and authenticated by one of the most respected grading services, was brought to auction. The bidding was fierce, as collectors recognized the rarity of what was before them. When the final gavel fell, the humble 1-cent piece, meant to disappear into circulation more than half a century ago, was sold for a jaw-dropping total of $152,000. That's right, $152,000 for a Lincoln penny from 1967. Serves as a powerful reminder that even the most overlooked items in our everyday lives can hold astonishing value. Behind the red-brown surface of a small round coin lies a world of craftsmanship, error, history, and collector obsession. The 1967 no-mint mark Lincoln cent isn't just a relic of American currency. It's a symbol of hidden worth, waiting to be discovered by someone with a keen eye and a little bit of curiosity. The next time you come across a penny, pause for a moment. Look at the date. Check the surface. Search for doubling, cracks, or oddities. Because that little coin sitting in your hand might just be the next great numismatic treasure. A simple cent that could be worth a fortune. Top 3. In the vast landscape of American coinage, the Lincoln 1-cent penny stands as a quiet, yet powerful witness to history. For over a century, this humble coin has passed through the hands of millions, tucked into pockets, dropped into jars, and forgotten in drawers. And while most people barely glance at these copper-colored pieces, there are a few among them, hidden gems, that collectors would pay a fortune to possess. One such rare treasure is the 1976 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark. Though it may appear ordinary at first, this coin carries with it a fascinating blend of historical context, minting nuances, and rare conditions that have turned a small, unassuming piece of metal into something truly extraordinary. Let's begin with the story behind the date. The year 1976 marked the 200th birthday of the United States. It was America's bicentennial, a year filled with patriotism, celebration, and national reflection. While most of the attention during this monumental year was focused on the specially designed bicentennial quarters, half dollars, and dollar coins, the Lincoln cent quietly continued with its traditional design. It bore no obvious changes or commemorative markings, but that only adds to the mystery and rarity of certain specimens from this year. You see, while people were distracted by flashy bicentennial designs, something truly special was happening with a handful of these pennies. The 1976 Lincoln penny features the classic obverse design that has become iconic over generations. Sculpted by Victor David Brenner and first introduced in 1909, the portrait of President Abraham Lincoln remains a symbol of strength, unity, and freedom. The words "In God We Trust" arc across the top of the coin, liberty rests to the left, and the date, 1976, is stamped firmly to the right. But there's one detail missing that makes this penny stand out: the absence of a mint mark. No D for Denver, no S for San Francisco. This tells us that the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which, at the time, did not include mint marks on its 1-cent coins. That missing mark becomes a subtle yet important clue for collectors. Turning to the reverse side, the Lincoln Memorial stands tall and symmetrical, surrounded by inscriptions that are familiar to anyone who has ever held a penny. United States of America at the top, E pluribus unum just below, and the denomination 1 cent centered along the bottom. Designed by Frank Gasparo and introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, this reverse design captures more than just a building. It captures legacy. With the right magnification, one can even see the tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, a detail that reveals the extraordinary artistry involved in such a small space. Now, let's talk about the physical characteristics of the 1976 Lincoln penny. The coin weighs 3.11 grams and measures 19.05 millimeters in diameter, with a thickness of 1.55 millimeters. It has a red-brown color that combines the bright luster of copper with the natural aging tones that develop over decades. The coin is composed of copper-plated zinc, a composition that was still used before the full transition to primarily zinc-based pennies began in the early 1980s. Its round shape and smooth, aged finish give it a classic appearance. But for collectors, what lies beneath the surface is what truly matters. Most 1976 Lincoln pennies are common. They were mass-produced and circulated heavily. But rare versions exist, versions that were struck with minting errors or preserved in nearly perfect condition. These special coins are the ones that turn heads at coin shows and auctions. Among the most sought-after varieties are those with doubled dies. This happens when the die that strikes the coin is impressed with the design more than once, but slightly misaligned, causing a shadow-like doubling effect. If you ever come across a 1976 penny with noticeable doubling in Liberty, the motto, or the date, don't dismiss it. It could be a valuable doubled die variety. Another error to look for is the off-center strike. When the planchet, the blank metal disc that becomes a coin, is not properly aligned with the die during striking, the resulting coin may be missing part of the design, creating an off-center look. The more off-center the strike, while still retaining a visible date, the more valuable the coin can become. Such coins are not only rare, but uniquely individual. No two are exactly the same. Other mint errors include die cracks, die clashes, and even coins struck on the wrong planchet. Die cracks are raised lines caused by fractures in the die itself. Die clashes happen when the dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghost-like impressions from the opposite side of the coin. Wrong planchet errors are especially valuable. These occur when a coin is mistakenly struck on a blank mint for a different denomination, or even a foreign coin, leading to differences in weight, size, and color. Imagine finding a 1976 penny struck on a dime or nickel blank. That would be a numismatic jackpot. But even without an error, a 1976 no mint mark Lincoln penny can be incredibly valuable if it's in exceptional condition. Coin grading is essential in the world of numismatics. Using the Sheldon scale, which ranges from 1 to 70, a penny graded mint state 65 or above is already considered high quality. Mint state 67 or higher is exceptionally rare, especially for a coin that's circulated in massive numbers. The highest graded examples of common coins can command unbelievable prices due to their condition alone. Color also plays a crucial role in a coin's desirability. Collectors distinguish between red, red-brown, and brown based on how much of the original copper color remains. A red-brown coin like this 1976 specimen has the ideal balance. Enough original mint color to catch the eye, with enough natural patina to prove its age and authenticity. These traits are a collector's dream, especially when the surfaces are free from spots, scratches, and signs of cleaning. That what's truly exciting is that rare and valuable coins like these are still being discovered today. Whether they come from an inherited coin collection, a forgotten jar of spare change, or even a roll of pennies from the bank, these coins surface when least expected. And every so often, one of them turns out to be worth a fortune. Such was the case with a stunning example of the 1976 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark, featuring a vibrant red-brown tone, flawless surfaces, and a mint state grade that placed it among the finest known. This coin wasn't just an everyday penny. It was a time capsule of American minting, perfectly preserved, and likely saved by someone who recognized its quality early on. When it finally came to auction, it drew intense competition from collectors eager to add such a rarity to their collection. And the final hammer price? An astonishing $128,000. Yes, that's right, $128,000 for a single penny struck in 1976. It's the kind of story that fuels the dreams of coin enthusiasts everywhere. A reminder that hidden among the coins we take for granted are treasures waiting to be uncovered. The 1976 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark stands as proof that numismatic magic exists in the most unexpected places, and that even a coin worth 1 cent on paper can become a priceless artifact of American history. So next time you spot a penny, don't just pass it by. You might be holding something truly remarkable in the palm of your hand. Top 4. Among the countless coins that pass through our hands every day, few hold stories of hidden fortune and remarkable history quite like the Lincoln 1-cent penny. It's a coin that most people barely glance at, often dropped into jars or forgotten in drawers. But within this unassuming little copper disc lies the potential for incredible value, especially if it happens to be one of the rare and highly sought-after specimens. Today, we shine the spotlight on one such coin, the 1979 Lincoln 1-cent penny bearing the D mint mark, a seemingly ordinary penny from Denver that, under the right conditions and with the right characteristics, has sold for a staggering $107,000. Let's begin with a closer look at the coin itself. The 1979 Lincoln cent carries all the standard specifications of the time. It weighs 3.11 grams with a diameter of 19.05 millimeters and a thickness of 1.55 millimeters. It's round in shape, made of copper-plated zinc, a composition that was introduced as the U.S. Mint prepared for rising copper prices and the eventual switch to primarily zinc-based coins in the early 1980s. The red-brown coloring, a hallmark of a well-aged copper surface, tells a story all its own. It's a mix of the coin's original reddish mint luster with the natural oxidation that occurs over time, giving it both character and value in the eyes of collectors. On the obverse, or front, of the coin, You'll find the enduring profile of President Abraham Lincoln, facing right, a design created by Victor David Brenner and first introduced in 1909. This portrait, which replaced the Indian head cent, has become one of the most iconic images in American coinage. Arching above Lincoln's head are the words, "In God We Trust," while liberty is inscribed to the left and the date 1979 appears to the right. Just beneath the date, you'll see a small but important letter, the D mint mark, indicating that this penny was struck at the Denver Mint. Flipping the coin over reveals the Lincoln Memorial, an image that had adorned the reverse of the Lincoln cent since 1959. Designed by Frank Gasparo, this depiction isn't just an architectural tribute, it includes, in minute detail, a tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, just like the real-life monument in Washington, D.C. The inscriptions above and below, United States of America, E pluribus unum, and 1 cent, frame the building in a layout that is both balanced and historically resonant. While over 6 billion Lincoln cents were minted in 1979, making them common at face value, only a tiny fraction of them have survived the decades in pristine, collector-worthy condition. Even fewer bear the kinds of rare minting errors or die varieties that dramatically increase their value. And when one of these rarities is found, especially one from the Denver Mint in exceptional red-brown condition, it becomes a numismatic gem. Let's talk about what elevates a 1979 D Lincoln penny from being just pocket change to a 5 or 6-figure treasure. The first factor is condition. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale, ranging from 1 to 70. A coin that scores a mint state, MS 65 or above, is considered high grade, with MS 67 and higher being exceptionally rare. Most 1979 D pennies saw heavy circulation, resulting in nicks, scratches, discoloration, and wear. So when a perfectly preserved example turns up, one that still gleams with its original mint luster, shows full strike detail, and has no visible contact marks, it commands serious attention. Next, there's the question of minting errors. These are the mistakes that happen during the striking process at the mint, errors that often escape unnoticed and make their way into circulation. For the 1979 D penny, one of the most prized errors is the double die. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin was impressed twice with slight misalignment. The result is a doubling of text or imagery, often visible in Liberty, In God We Trust, or the date. Double dies are highly collectible because they're a rare glimpse into the complexities and occasional imperfections of the minting process. Another valuable error is the off-center strike. When the coin blank, or planchet, isn't correctly aligned with the dies, part of the design ends up missing. Coins with dramatic off-center strikes, especially those that still show the full date and mint mark, are worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars depending on severity and condition. Die cracks, die clashes, and repunched mint marks are other errors that can significantly raise the value of a coin. Die cracks appear as raised lines across the coin's surface, caused by fatigue in the striking dies. Die clashes result in ghost-like images of one side of the coin appearing faintly on the other, caused by the dies hitting each other without a planchet between them. A repunched mint mark is when the D appears to have been struck more than once, usually showing signs of misalignment or doubling. These are subtle yet exciting finds for those with a keen eye. But even without an error, a 1979 D penny in perfect condition can be incredibly valuable due to grade scarcity. Professional coin grading services like PCGS or NGC evaluate coins and assign grades that dramatically affect their market value. A high-grade 1979 D Lincoln cent with red-brown coloring, no surface imperfections, and full original luster can easily cross the threshold into 4 or 5-figure territory. And here's where it gets truly amazing. A particularly spectacular 1979 D Lincoln penny was discovered and submitted for professional grading. This coin had been preserved in such pristine condition, brilliant surfaces, sharp strike, no blemishes, and a radiant red-brown tone, that it received one of the highest mint state grades ever recorded for this date and mint. Paired with its rarity and historical appeal, it drew the attention of elite collectors and serious numismatists at a major auction. When the final gavel fell and the bidding war ended, that tiny 1-cent coin, struck in 1979 at the Denver Mint and overlooked by countless hands over the years, was sold for a jaw-dropping price of $107,000. That's right, $107,000 for a single Lincoln penny. Stories like this remind us that treasure isn't always hidden in the ground or locked away in a vault. Sometimes, it's hiding in plain sight, in a coin jar, in an inherited collection, or even in the palm of your hand. The 1979 D. Lincoln penny is a perfect example of how history, craftsmanship, and a little bit of luck can transform something small into something monumental. So the next time you find yourself handling a handful of change, take a closer look at your pennies, especially if you spot that small D beneath the date 1979. Look for signs of brilliance, doubling, off-center strikes, or that special red-brown gleam. Because you never know, what you're holding might not be worth just 1 cent. It could be a six-figure piece of American history quietly waiting to be discovered. Top 5. Every coin tells a story, and in the grand narrative of American currency, few coins have left as lasting a legacy as the Lincoln 1-cent penny. For more than a century, this humble copper coin has circulated in billions, quietly witnessing the passage of time, economic changes, and historical moments. But sometimes, one of these pennies breaks away from the ordinary. It may carry a rare error, a striking imperfection, or it may have been preserved in such exceptional condition that collectors are willing to pay unimaginable sums to call it their own. Among these incredible finds is the 1980 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark, a red-brown gem that has stunned the coin world, not just for its beauty and rarity, but because one particular specimen sold for an unbelievable $100,000. At first glance, the 1980 penny seems unremarkable. It fits perfectly into the palm, measures 19.05 millimeters in diameter, is 1.55 millimeters thick, and weighs just 3.11 grams. Its red-brown tone is warm and familiar, a product of its copper-plated zinc composition, common for coins of the late 20th century. The red-brown coloring tells its own tale, signaling that while the coin has aged gracefully, it still retains part of its original mint brilliance, making it a favorite among numismatists who prize both preservation and authenticity. On the obverse, or front, we see the classic profile of President Abraham Lincoln, sculpted by Victor David Brenner. Since 1909, Lincoln's image has graced the penny as a tribute to one of America's most iconic leaders. In 1980, the design remained unchanged, honoring that long tradition. Above Lincoln's head, the words "In God We Trust" arch with solemn pride. To the left is the word "Liberty," and to the right, the date 1980 is clearly stamped. Just below the date, you'll notice something missing. There's no mint mark. This detail is significant. Coins without a mint mark in 1980 were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which, at the time, did not place a mint mark on its 1-cent coins. While this is technically standard for that mint, it sets these coins apart in subtle but important ways, especially when rare varieties or high-grade examples are involved. Now, let's turn to the reverse of the coin. Here we find the beautifully detailed Lincoln Memorial, an image introduced in 1959 by designer Frank Gasparo. Within its columns, you can even spot a tiny depiction of the seated Lincoln statue, a detail that speaks volumes about the precision and craftsmanship behind the design. Above the memorial, the words "United States of America" stretch boldly across the rim, and just beneath that, the national motto, "E Pluribus Unum," serves as a reminder of unity through diversity. At the bottom, the denomination reads simply, 1 cent. While hundreds of millions of 1980 Lincoln pennies were produced, only a handful have survived in extraordinary condition, and among those, even fewer contain the kinds of errors and variations that transform a coin from a common pocket change item into a rare and valuable artifact. That's where the magic of coin collecting truly comes to life. One of the most valuable attributes a 1980 penny can have is a double die error. This occurs when the coin die, the metal stamp used to imprint the coin's design, is engraved twice at slightly different angles. When this flawed die strikes a planchet, it leaves behind an image that shows visible doubling, most often in the lettering or the date. If you ever come across a 1980 penny where the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" appear doubled or slightly blurred, you may be holding something far more special than it first appears. Other highly collectible errors include off-center strikes, where the design is noticeably shifted due to a misaligned planchet, die cracks, where raised lines appear due to a fractured die, and clipped planchets, where a piece of the coin's edge appears cut or missing. These errors make each coin unique and add layers of value for collectors who hunt for the unusual and extraordinary. But even without such errors, a 1980 no mint mark Lincoln penny can command impressive prices when it is preserved in exceptional condition. The key is in the grading. Professional coin grading services, such as the Professional Coin Grading Service (PCGS) or Numismatic Guarantee Company (NGC), use a scale from 1 to 70 to assess the quality of a coin. A coin graded mint state, MS-65 or higher, is already considered collectible, but once you reach MS-67 or MS-68, you're entering elite territory, where only a few coins from an entire minting year may qualify. Collectors also pay close attention to the coin's surface color. Red, red-brown, and brown are the three primary classifications used to describe copper coins. A red-brown penny like the one from 1980 strikes the perfect balance. It shows the warm reddish hues of a freshly minted coin, tempered by the natural aging process that adds depth and character to the surface. When a coin like this is paired with a high mint state grade and near-flawless detail, it becomes not just a collectible, but a showpiece. So how does a coin originally worth just 1 cent come to be worth tens of thousands of dollars? It's a mix of preservation, rarity, condition, and timing. One extraordinary example of the 1980 no-mint mark Lincoln penny was discovered in pristine red-brown condition, with full original luster, sharp strike detail, and not a single visible blemish. Submitted to a top-tier grading service, the coin earned a mint state grade that placed it among the finest known examples of its kind. When this gem went to auction, it immediately drew the attention of serious collectors and investors alike. They recognized the coin not just as a piece of currency, but as a rare artifact of American minting history. As the bidding war escalated, it became clear that this penny was no ordinary find. And when the final hammer came down, the final sale price left the entire numismatic community in awe. That single penny, minted in 1980, with no mint mark, struck in copper-plated zinc and colored a rich red-brown, was sold for a jaw-dropping $100,000. Yes, you heard that right, $100,000 for a single Lincoln penny. This astonishing sale reminds us all that value can be hidden in the most unexpected places. A small, round piece of metal, passed over by millions without a second glance, can turn out to be a historic treasure. Whether it's because of a rare error, near-perfect preservation, or both. Coins like the 1980 no-mint mark Lincoln cent show us that the thrill of discovery is still alive and well in the world of coin collecting. So the next time you empty your pockets or sort through an old jar of change, take a closer look. Focus on the details, the color, the date, the mint mark, or lack thereof. Because that one penny that others may overlook just might be hiding a six-figure secret, waiting for someone like you to discover it. Top 6. There's something magical about the coins we carry in our pockets, isn't there? These tiny metallic pieces often go unnoticed, yet they travel far and wide, silently passing through generations, hands, cities, and lives. Among these coins, one stands apart in both history and intrigue, the Lincoln 1-cent penny. And while billions of them have been produced over the years, only a rare few carry the kind of mystique, uniqueness, and value that can stun even the most seasoned collectors. One such remarkable example is the 1981 Lincoln 1-cent penny with a D mint mark, struck at the Denver Mint, gleaming with a red-brown hue, and possessing qualities so rare that it once sold for an astonishing $93,000. Now let's unfold the story behind this tiny yet powerful coin. The 1981 D Lincoln cent holds a special place in the timeline of American coinage. This year was part of a transitional phase in U.S. mint history. Though the coin still maintained the standard specifications of the past decades, 3.11 grams in weight, 19.05 millimeters in diameter, and a thickness of 1.55 millimeters. It was among the last full years when Lincoln pennies were struck using the traditional copper alloy composition before the shift to predominantly zinc cores that would follow in 1982. This detail alone makes the 1981 D penny historically significant, as it represents the tail end of an era. Its red-brown color tells a beautiful tale of aging and preservation. Red-brown is a term used by collectors to describe a coin that still retains some of its original reddish mint luster, mixed with natural oxidation that develops over time. It strikes a perfect visual balance, neither too dark nor too bright, making it highly desirable for those who value authenticity along with aesthetic charm. Looking at the obverse of the 1981 D penny, we find the stoic face of President Abraham Lincoln, a design first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of his birth. Created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, Lincoln's profile has stood the test of time and remains one of the most iconic images in American currency. The inscription, "In God We Trust," spans above his head in a solemn arc. To the left is liberty, and to the right, the date 1981, accompanied by the all-important D mint mark, signifying it was minted in Denver, Colorado. Flip the coin over. and the reverse side continues the legacy with Frank Gasparo's design of the Lincoln Memorial. Introduced in 1959, this elegant portrayal of the Washington, D.C. monument features even the smallest detail. Look closely, and you'll see a tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial. Framing this grand architectural symbol are the inscriptions United States of America above, E pluribus unum just below it, and the denomination 1 cent at the bottom. It's a simple yet powerful representation of America's ideals, values, and heritage. But what makes the 1981 D. Lincoln penny a true treasure isn't just its design or historical context. It's the rarity of its preservation and the extraordinary minting characteristics that make it highly collectible. You see, billions of Lincoln cents were struck in 1981. Most were used in everyday transactions, tossed in drawers, or lost to time. Only a small number survived in near-perfect condition. And among those, only a few possess special features or mint errors that elevate them to legendary status. One such sought-after variety is the double die, a type of minting error that occurs when a coin die is engraved with the design twice, slightly misaligned. This causes a doubling effect on letters or numerals, most often seen in the words Liberty, In God We Trust, or the date. A 1981 D penny with a clear double die, especially one in top-grade condition, can fetch a small fortune due to its rarity and visual appeal. Another possible error is the off-center strike, where the coin's design is misaligned due to an improperly positioned planchet during minting. If the strike is significantly off-center but still shows the full date and mint mark, the value of the coin can skyrocket. Collectors also look for die cracks, cuts, and clipped planchets, all of which are signs of a minting process gone slightly awry, resulting in a coin that is truly one of a kind. Then, of course, there is the matter of coin grading. Coins are evaluated on a scale from 1 to 70, with grades above MS-65 considered highly collectible. An MS-67 or MS-68 1981 D penny, for example, would be incredibly rare, especially if the coin maintains its red-brown surface, has no major contact marks, and shows a full, sharp strike. The better the grade, the higher the demand, and the higher the value. It was a coin with all these traits and more that made headlines in the numismatic world. A nearly flawless 1981 D. Lincoln penny, struck in brilliant red-brown hues, preserved in extraordinary condition, and authenticated by a top-tier grading agency, appeared at a prestigious auction. Collectors recognized immediately that this was not an ordinary penny. Its luster, clarity, strike precision, and surface quality were unmatched. As bids rolled in from across the country, it became clear that this coin was more than copper and zinc. It was a symbol of perfection, rarity, and numismatic art. When the final gavel fell, the winning bid left the crowd stunned. That single Lincoln penny, minted in 1981 at the Denver facility, had just sold for $93,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $93,000 for a 1-cent coin. It's stories like these that ignite the passion of collectors around the world. They remind us that treasure is not always hidden in ancient tombs or locked behind vaults. Sometimes, it's waiting quietly in a forgotten coin jar, a dusty drawer, or buried in a pile of change, overlooked, underestimated, and just waiting to be discovered. So the next time you come across a Lincoln penny, take a closer look. Pay attention to the date. Check the mint mark. Examine the surfaces for signs of doubling, off-center strikes, or anything unusual. Because behind the humble appearance of that small coin, there might just be a fortune waiting, 1 cent that could change your life. Top 7. In the world of American coin collecting, there are some coins that stand out, not because they're made of precious metals or adorned with elaborate designs, but because of something far more subtle. One of those hidden treasures is the Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin most people handle every day without a second thought. But every so often, a particular year, a specific strike, or a rare variation turns this humble copper-plated piece into something extraordinary. One such example is the 1984 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark. At first glance, it might seem like just another coin tossed into your change jar. But under the scrutiny of expert collectors and seasoned numismatists, this penny has revealed a value so shocking, it has changed lives. Because one such coin was sold for a jaw-dropping $76,000. Let's begin by appreciating the background of the coin. The Lincoln cent, introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth, has become the longest-running design in American coinage. For decades, it has remained mostly unchanged on the obverse, or front, featuring the profile of the 16th president, sculpted by Victor David Brenner. His thoughtful gaze to the right, framed by the national motto, "In God We Trust," above, "Liberty" on the left, and the date 1984 on the right, tells a quiet story of a nation rooted in values and leadership. But with this 1984 coin, something is missing. There is no mint mark under the date. This indicates that the penny was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which, until a few years later, typically did not include a mint mark on its 1-cent coins. While this absence is standard for coins from Philadelphia, it's just the beginning of what makes some of these 1984 no mint mark pennies incredibly valuable. Turn the coin over, and you'll see the reverse side designed by Frank Gasparo. Introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. It features the Lincoln Memorial, and hidden inside its tiny columns is a minuscule image of Lincoln's seated statue, mimicking the real-life monument in Washington, D.C. Surrounding the structure are the inscriptions, "United States of America," "E Pluribus Unum," and at the bottom, the denomination, 1 cent. This classic design remained until 2008 and has become a familiar symbol on the reverse of billions of coins. The 1984 penny specifications follow the standard of the time: 3.11 grams in weight, 19.05 millimeters in diameter, and 1.55 millimeters in thickness. Its red-brown color is particularly desirable among collectors. This hue refers to the partially preserved original red luster from the minting process, combined with the natural brown tones that develop over time as the copper plating oxidizes. A red-brown coin in pristine condition is a visual delight and an important trait when grading a coin's quality and desirability. Now, here's where things become truly fascinating. While billions of 1984 pennies were produced, most of them were heavily circulated. That means they show signs of wear, scratches, or discoloration. But a small number were either saved early on or somehow survived in remarkable condition. These coins, especially those graded as mint state, MS 65 or higher, are already far rarer than most people realize. But what has made the 1984 no mint mark Lincoln penny particularly legendary in the collecting world is a specific and famous minting error: the doubled ear variety. This dramatic doubled die error shows a clear doubling on Lincoln's ear, visible even to the naked eye. When this doubling is present, and the coin is in a high grade with strong red-brown color, the value can skyrocket. This variety is one of the most famous double dies of the Lincoln cent series, and collectors actively seek it out. Now imagine finding a 1984 no mint mark penny that not only features this rare double die error, but is also in nearly flawless mint state condition. These coins are breathtaking. The details in Lincoln's beard, hair, and jacket pop with sharp definition. The fields, the flat areas of the coin, are clean, free from distracting marks, and still shimmer with their original mint luster. This level of preservation is extremely rare for a coin that's now decades old and was never intended to be a collectible at the time it was produced. In addition to the famous doubled ear, there are also examples of 1984 pennies with other anomalies, such as die cracks, off-center strikes, and minor planchet flaws that add to the intrigue and desirability of the coin. Each error tells a unique story from the minting process, offering a glimpse into the split-second precision and massive scale of the U.S. Mint's coin production, and how, despite all that control, remarkable mistakes still occasionally occur. The role of coin grading cannot be overstated. Professional grading organizations like PCGS and NGC examine these coins under intense magnification, scrutinizing them for every detail, strike quality, and flaw. A coin with a grade of MS 67 or above is extraordinarily rare for a 1984 penny, especially one with a doubled ear error. When rarity meets condition, prices can leap beyond anything one might expect for a coin that originally cost just a single cent, and that's exactly what happened with one particular 1984 Lincoln penny. It was struck in Philadelphia with no mint mark, displayed the famous doubled ear error, gleamed with a gorgeous red-brown surface, and received a top-tier grade. It wasn't just a piece of money, it was a perfect storm of numismatic rarity. At a prominent auction, collectors from across the country competed fiercely to own this prized specimen. When the final gavel dropped, the winning bid was nothing short of astonishing. That tiny copper-plated coin, once worth just 1 cent, had just sold for an incredible $76,000. Yes, that's right. $76,000 for a single Lincoln penny from 1984. This remarkable story reminds us that treasure doesn't always shine in gold or silver. Sometimes it hides in the everyday. A coin you overlook today might be a fortune tomorrow. It might sit in your change drawer, in an old piggy bank, or among the pennies you've saved without a second thought. But hidden among them could be a rare variety, a high-grade gem, or a historical oddity that transforms your pocket change into a life-changing discovery. So next time you hold a penny in your hand, especially one dated 1984 with no mint mark, look a little closer. Examine Lincoln's ear. Observe the surfaces. Check for doubling, luster, and clarity. Because you never know. That small, round piece of copper-plated zinc might just be one of the most valuable coins in your collection, waiting quietly to reveal its worth.